Hello, I'm DeDe. For this 30-minute yoga session, we will bring attention to what is stretching, what is contracting, as well as what should be relaxing in poses or as we're moving in and out of positions. This will help us cultivate better awareness, better mind-body connection, and all that good stuff. So as usual, you'll need a yoga mat if you're on a hard floor. You probably won't need shoes or socks. You'll need a folded towel for some padding and some support, and then you'll also want some water that you can take sips of periodically. Remember to move only at the pace and through the range of motion that works for you. Let's come to a sitting position now. So if you're not crazy about sitting on the floor, you can try this, sitting up on a folded towel. If you sit right at the edge of it, it helps to tilt your pelvis into the right direction. If you'd rather sit in a chair during this first seated part, then I want you to feel free to do that. Just sit in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. So if you're going to sit on the floor or sit up on your folded towel, then you'll sit with your legs folded or crossed this way, one leg in front of the other. It doesn't matter which. Then you can move your feet further forward if you like. You can have your knees up a little higher or lower. Do what feels comfortable for you. Most importantly, we want to be able to sit up with a straight column through our spine. So that means shoulders are over the hips and the ears are over the shoulders. Now we'll close our eyes here and we'll bring equal weight across both of our hips, right hip and left hip. And let your arms relax into your lap in a comfortable way. And then try to relax what does not need to be contracted right now. For example, the muscles around your eyes don't need to be squeezing too tightly, just enough to close the lids. That's all you need. Your forehead doesn't need to be contracted at all. Your jaw muscles are relaxed. Just enough contraction to keep your mouth closed, but not clenching. And then relax your tongue. As much as you can, relax your shoulders and your neck. We're going to breathe through our nose, both for the inhales and the exhales. And then let's think about the mechanism of breathing. So as we inhale, the diaphragm draws down into our abdominal area and the lungs fill with air. So that's a little bit of a contraction. But then as we exhale, we just release all of that and relax. The diaphragm rises up and the air is expelled through the nose. So let's feel that contracting and relaxing as it happens. My goal for our practice in this session is to just see things with a slightly different perspective. Through the lens of what is contracting, what is relaxing, what is lengthening. Right now you may feel some lengthening through your spine compared to the way you normally may sit. And then if your eyes are closed, let them softly blink open. All right, and if you're sitting as I am with your legs folded or crossed, go ahead and reverse that. And then we'll hold on to our shins, or if you're sitting in a chair, just put your hands on your legs. Inhale, lift your chest a little bit, and then as you exhale, let your chest drop down a little bit. We'll do that a few times. So we're using the arms right now to pull us a little bit forward, and then we're holding on so we don't roll back too far. And we'll do it again. Feel the stretch through your abdomen, and then feel a little bit of stretch through your back, just a little bit. Now we'll keep doing this, but we'll do it without the help of our arms. So as the chest drops down, the arms go forward. And then as we inhale, the arms go back and we open and lift. And then exhale. And we'll do it again. Feel the contraction in your back as you lengthen through your belly, and then a little bit of the opposite of those two things. Now this time we twist, so inhale, stay up, and then exhale, take both of your hands to the outside of your right leg. And then inhale to the center, both your hands to the outside of your left leg. So feel what's happening in your waist. Can you feel a contraction and a stretch? Because they're both taking place to a degree. One side is contracting to pull you around, one side is lengthening so you can turn. Last one. Then inhale, the arms come out. Let's exhale over to one side. Easy does it. And then we'll switch. Keep your top arm bent. And let your bottom arm support you, but don't let it get in your way. Relax your shoulder. And if you're sitting in a chair, you can separate your feet a little bit and put your hand on your leg instead, because you don't have access to the floor. One more time each way. So feel the length that's happening on the stretching side. And feel a little bit of contraction on that side as you come up. And try to relax your shoulders, and your jaw, and your facial muscles. All right, and then we're coming back to the center. Roll your shoulders up, back and down, and do it again. All right, now we're coming to a hands and knees position. So if you're not down with me, go ahead and come down now with your extra padding under your knees. And then we'll be in our hands and knees position. So if you'd like to be up on your fists at first, do that. And then as you're holding with your two knees and your one hand, let's warm up one of our wrists. So believe it or not, picking up one hand when you're on all fours can be a little bit challenging. It may be challenging for your balance right now. It's also a little challenging for your core. So see if you can notice that and stay balanced. And then we'll switch and warm up the other wrist. Make sure you're not collapsing through your upper back or your shoulders or your neck. And then we'll be on both of our fists, or we'll be flat on our palms. I want you to do what suits you best. Tuck your toes under now, and then inhale, lift your tailbone up, and then exhale, tuck your tailbone down. And then just carry on back and forth with those. Feel what's happening in your belly right now. You're stretching when the tailbone is up, and then when you drop the tailbone down, you're stretching a little bit through your low back. Maybe when your tailbone is up, you feel the compression there. And maybe when your tailbone is down, you feel the contraction through your abdomen. Can you feel that? And then all the while, you're pushing the ground away with your knees, your toes, and your hands. Now we'll untuck our toes and we'll sit into a child's pose of your choice. So way out here with your elbows is fine. Closer in is fine. All the way down is also fine. It's important that your child's pose feels comfortable and restful for you. So play around with it a little bit. See what feels best. Now from our child's pose, let's extend the arms as far forward as we can. Sit back as far as you can with your hips toward your heels. And remember, opening your knees a little bit wider may be more comfortable. So now we're going to come forward. So if your knees are super wide, bring them in a little bit more narrow. We're inhaling as we stretch out into this kneeling plank. And then we exhale as we sit back. And let's keep it going. Ideally, we pick one hand position that works well for the forward and the backward movements. So for me, it's right about there. What is it for you? Your hands are shoulder width, but how far forward are they? So one of the best learning tools, especially if you're a visual learner, is a mirror. It's a good learning tool for body positions, technique, alignment, precision. Because if you can see what your body's doing, then you can remember what the right position is, just by the way it looks visually. Then you can memorize how it feels when you're in the right position. And then you won't need the mirror, but it's a nice learning tool. So right now, if you have access to a mirror, you're making sure that when you come forward, you have a straight line from your knees through the crown of your head. And if you don't have a mirror, try to feel that you're in a straight line here and you're not collapsing. Okay, we only have one more of these. This time it's going to be a full plank. So we tuck our toes under, we lift our knees, and then we push into downward facing dog. And from there, we press one heel at a time down. So you're feeling some stretch through your toes on one side and a stretch through your calf on the other side. Can you feel that? Feeling some contraction through your arm muscles, right? Feeling some stretch up into your hamstrings maybe too. Effort through your arms and shoulders. And then you're relaxing your neck, hopefully. All right, pressing both of your heels down. Now take the foot that's furthest away from me and step it forward. And then we'll walk with our hands around toward one another. And then we'll turn the toes out a little bit. And then we'll transfer our hands up onto our legs. And we'll find our neutral spine with the shoulders away from the ears. And then we'll rise up. Take your time. Now make sure that you've turned your toes out to match the turnout of your knees. And then we'll inhale, hands are still on the legs. Exhale into a side lunge. Then we'll come back to the center and inhale, and we'll side lunge in the other direction. Make sure your knee isn't collapsing in, push it open. Now let's add a shoulder dropping down, so a little spinal twist. Inhale to the center. Position your knee so it travels right toward the center of your foot. As you exhale, drop your left shoulder. And then inhale, come to the center. Exhale, right shoulder. Now at any point, including right now, if you need to have your hand on the back of a sturdy chair or your hand on a countertop, or if you need to hold on to a wall, make sure that you do it. Stay safe. That's probably the number one rule in our practice. Stay safe. Last one. Now we're taking our hands around to the right. We're coming into a kneeling lunge, so make sure that your knee is on your extra padding. And then your front knee is over your ankle. So then from here, we press the hips forward and we lift the chest. So inhale, feel the stretch in your hip flexors here. And then as you exhale, push your hips back, keeping your hands in that one spot. Let's do this a few times. So if fingertips doesn't feel good for you, you can be on your fists, on your palms, or up on your yoga blocks. Yoga blocks are a good investment. They're not that expensive. And they really come in handy for different poses, different reasons. Now let's come forward, staying forward now, taking hands up onto the front thigh and relaxing the shoulders down. So you'll feel some effort in your front leg, the effort of kind of holding you here in this kneeling lunge. You'll feel a big time stretch in your hip flexor here. Then you may feel some contraction as you lift your chest, contraction through your back. And then maybe you feel even more stretch up into the front of your hip. Take both your hands down on the inside of your front foot now. Lift your back knee, and we'll slowly walk around to the other side. Make sure your back knee ends up on your extra padding, and your front knee is once again over your ankle. Fingertips, fists, palms, or yoga blocks. Inhale. Lift your chest, and then exhale. Ease back without moving your hands from their current position. And then we'll do it again. This time, as we come forward, we'll stay in the kneeling lunge and we'll make it an upright kneeling lunge. So take your hands on your front thigh Shrug your shoulders down away from your ears. And make sure that your hip is at least a little bit forward of your back knee. At least a little bit. Lift your chest to the best of your ability. Keep breathing. Here's something that doesn't need to be tense right now. The shoulders and the upper back. You can kind of let those relax. And then take both of your hands down on the inside of your front foot. Tuck your back foot, lift your back knee, and we're going to fold up our extra padding and get it off of our yoga mat now. Let's walk around to the other side, facing straight toward the right side of your space, coming up to a high lunge. And again, you're steadying yourself with some light support if you need to. And then we'll bend both of our knees and we'll sink down a little bit more. Now we'll take the arms down. The palms are facing the same way we're facing, and then the arms draw back. And we'll stay here. So there's quite a bit of effort here. I'm sure you can feel it in your legs, in your torso, in your back. But also there's that pretty intense hip flexor stretch once again in the hip of the back leg. Now release your arms down, and we'll stay up as we change sides. So keep your balance as you shift. Stay on your railroad track with your feet. High lunge. Bending both knees and sinking down. Now the arms were down last time. Let's see if we can bring them more like at chest height. And then draw them back. And we'll stay here, finding your just right amount of challenge and stretch and effort. And then release the arms and come up. We're facing each other once again. Now bring your heels on a straight line with one another. Turn your left toes in and your right toes turn out. So make sure you still have a very generous stance going. And then we're going to sink into Warrior Two. So that means the pelvis is level, and the arms come out, and then we sink down. Now that's just our starting point. We're now going to take this into what's called a side angle pose. So make sure your left leg is straight, your right knee is bent. Get as close to 90 degrees as you can. Shoulders away from ears. Now tip your pelvis over on its side. Feel the difference between level and not level anymore. You should really start to incorporate more inner thigh and hamstring stretch. And then we'll rest the right forearm. And we'll take the top arm either bent or straight overhead. Now, if you're looking forward toward me as your focal point, that's great. Most people find that pretty comfortable for their neck. So if you can see me, think about this. Pull your top hip back, pull your top shoulder back as well. Keep bending your right knee, deep bend. Looking up is another option. Also, choosing to look down. That's also a good option. Now let's release the top arm and we'll push with the right foot so we can come up. Turn the right toes in, turn the left toes out. Start with Warrior Two. Feel the horizontal planes of this pose. Now let your pelvis tip over on its side. Make sure you're not turning this way though. And then forearm and top arm. Pull your top shoulder back, pull your top hip back. Now let's talk about what's contracting. Well, our legs for sure, right? Especially our left one. What's stretching? Can you feel both inner thigh, groin areas stretching and opening? I sure can. Can you feel a little bit of side stretch as well as contraction in your torso? They're both happening. If you press your shoulders down, which you should be trying to do, you'll feel some contraction in your chest, your shoulders, and your upper back. And then if you're straightening your top arm, no mandatory reason to do that, but if it feels good, you'll feel some stretch through that arm as well. All right, now release. Push with your left foot. We're facing one another again. Walk your feet in. You can heel toe them in if that's doable for you. And here we are in mountain pose. Soften your knees. Hands together in front of your heart. Equal weight on both feet. For just a moment now, close your eyes. If balance is an issue for you, you don't have to close your eyes, but do it if you can. So we just went from several very open hip positions to now this, which is not an open position. Can you feel the difference? Can you feel your connective tissue kind of returning to its original length and position? Hopefully you can feel that. Hopefully you feel like you might have more freedom as a result of all that openness that we had. Now let your eyes open if they were closed. Let's do a balancing pose here that's also a stretch. So I encourage you to get next to a wall, a countertop, or a sturdy chair if you need to. So we'll take our right foot back, and then to the best of your ability, pick your right foot up by bending your knee. And then if you can, and if it feels comfortable, grab your ankle. Now we're going to bring the bottom of our pelvis forward and keep your standing knee a little bit soft. The knees are close by one another. You can take your left arm out as a counterbalance if you're balancing. All right, let's switch. So hopefully something for everybody. Foot back, or foot back with your knee bent, or foot back, knee bent, and then holding your ankle. Counterbalance with your arm. Knees are close by one another, and the pelvis tilts a little bit forward. Still breathing. So I probably don't have to say it, but you know the stretch here is in the front of the thigh and up into the hip a little bit. And then release that. Feet are down about shoulder width distance apart. You can turn your toes out a little bit if you like. Inhale. Exhale, let's twist. Both hands go on the outside of your right hip. Your navel is still facing straight ahead. Turning your chest. Relaxing your shoulders. And then inhale back to the center. Exhale around. Stay here. And then turning back around to the front. Now we'll take the hands behind us as if we're putting our hands deep down into our back pockets. And then we'll draw the elbows further back. So now can you draw your elbows further back without overly tipping your pelvis or sticking your chin out or elevating your shoulders? So tuck your tailbone in, lower your shoulders down, and draw your chin back. All we're trying to do is get the elbows further behind us. So you should feel that across the front of your chest, front of your shoulders, and into your upper arms. Now let's release that. Step your right foot directly under you, and then your left leg crosses in front. Now your left leg is relaxed. Push your hips out to the right, and reach your right arm over. Ease the shoulders. Keep squaring your hips to the front. And try to push your hips out as far as you can to the right. So you should feel this stretch all the way down the right side of your body. And then we're coming up and we're switching sides. This time your right leg is in front and it's relaxed. Your left leg is straight, pushing your hips out as far as you can. Come all the way up, and we'll step into mountain pose once again. Roll the shoulders up and back and down. One more time. All right, so my hope for this session was that you brought your attention to things that you might not normally notice, like what's stretching, what's contracting, what's relaxing or should be relaxing. So hopefully you found a fresh perspective in some familiar poses. So as usual, thank you for joining me, and until next time, be well.